Hi, I'm Alan. I'm the founder of Safe Space Talent, and I want to quickly talk to you about apprenticeships and how they can benefit your business. So, what is an apprenticeship? Essentially, they're government subsidised training programs, and they allow you to train new and current employees at heavily discounted rates. So, I talk about it being subsidised, so it's important to think about where that funding comes from. And that essentially comes from the apprenticeship levy. And that's a pot of money that large employers in the UK pay into every year. So a large employer means someone with £3 million or more in annual payroll. And they pay 0.5% of that payroll cost into the levy every year. Now, the interesting thing about the levy then is that it can only be used for apprenticeships. You can only draw down on that money once it's paid in to use on apprenticeship programs, and that's for either upskilling current employees or hiring new employees as apprentices. So who can make use of the apprenticeship, of apprenticeships and apprenticeship programs? So from an organisation perspective, the requirements are that you are a registered business or charity, you have PAYE set up, some liability insurance, and a commitment to give apprentices the time to train and study whilst working. So all very basic things if you're an organisation that's operating already. From an apprentice eligibility point of view, you have to be 16 or older. It can include graduates, experienced hires, or anybody else. Essentially, the schemes are there to be used by anybody looking to reskill or retrain, or even just train in the first place. But it's very important to kind of point out that it's not just for young people at the very beginning of their career. They can't have studied that very specific before, but can have studied other things. So, for example, if you were to do a marketing apprenticeship, you can't have studied marketing at university, but you could have done business because you won't have done as much detail on a business degree as you would. And the apprentice has to work a minimum of 30 hours per week. So whether that's somebody already in the role or you're hiring someone new, they need to be working 30 hours a week. What does this cost? So from a salary, as I mentioned, they've got to be doing the 30 hours per week. For the first 12 months of an apprenticeship, no matter how old they are, you can pay them as little as £5.28 per hour. Now that's not recommended. We guide on what's a recommended salary based on the role and the experience you're looking for, but it is a much lower rate than the minimum wage. After the first 12 months, that has to go up to minimum wage, and obviously you have to pay the national insurance and pension contributions on top of the salary you're paying. In terms of the training fees, if you're a large employer in that £3 million payroll or more bucket, you pay £0 towards the training. All of the money comes directly out of the levy and you draw that down, so you will have a levy pot already ready to go. If you've run out of money in the levy, then you kind of do what the small employers do, which is they pay 5% towards the course fee and the government will top it up. So the government really don't want the funding to be a limiting factor here of utilising the apprenticeship scheme. And for us, we don't charge any recruitment fees if you're looking to bring on a new person as an apprentice. We just offer that as a free service. So if I just give you a bit of a worked example here, in terms of hiring someone on a data analyst apprenticeship, off the bat, we don't charge a recruitment fee. For a graduate, you're likely to pay somewhere in the range of £5,000, and I talk about a graduate with maybe 1 or 2 years experience there, but still recruitment fees can be extremely high. The salary, it's close to half what we can find on the market right now for someone willing to do this, has the requisite skills and the eligibility requirements, and can do a good job, versus someone coming out with a degree. The pension, national insurance, that's all kind of fixed at what it is. And then the training fees for somebody who doesn't pay into the levy at 5% for a £15,000 data analyst apprenticeship course, £750 versus a graduate. Obviously you're not paying training fees there. But all in with the costs of the training fees, it costs nearly better than half to hire an apprentice versus a graduate. It's a huge saving and allows you to kind of make that decision to bring someone on. It makes that decision much easier for you. So if I just talk about some of the other apprenticeships that we that we offer. These are some of the more popular ones that we look at. So obviously talked about the data analyst one, touched on that there, but the sales executive 6-month course touches on everything you need to do. Think about, say, like an SDR role, someone who is kind of top of the funnel, making calls, booking meetings, doing that outbound work. We teach them how to do all of that. The time management, using the tools, using the latest tools of automation, AI, making their life easy. Digital marketer, this could be anybody from someone who needs to run your social media accounts to updating your websites, writing blogs, managing the SEO, managing the Google ads. We do a deep dive into Google Analytics and talk about some of the data requirements and a brief introduction into HTML, CSS, and basic web development there, so they have an appreciation of that, and if they're interested, can go further. And like I say, the data analyst one and the data analyst apprenticeship, 18-month course, but just gives people that basics in data, understanding the differences in structured versus unstructured, how to classify it, basic statistical methodologies, and we touch on some of the coding and basic scripting with SQL and Python. So it gives them that real ability to be effective with data, understand what's going on with it, and how to collate it and present it and analyze it in a sensible way, being for the business. So what are the use cases for apprenticeships? Hiring new talent is really important. Bringing on a hungry talent that's eager to learn, and wants to do the course as well as the job. It brings on a certain character which is really, really passionate about what they're doing, and also just forward thinking in terms of I want to keep learning, I want to do something. It's great to bring those people in. And their learning is hands-on, specific to your organisation, so it allows them to tailor what they know to what you do, and means they can be super effective going forward. And the second and third, sit in similar buckets, but upskilling talent, people who you want to progress, they want to do management, they want to within the business. It's a great way to kind of push them, helps retain them. They are going to be on a course from anywhere between 6, 12, 8. They stay where they are in terms of their role. They're not looking for something else. They're kind of content in terms of learning and finishing that course. Retention reduces churn there, and it helps maybe maintain a role that has evolved or become more technical. So marketing is a great example of this. Over the years, more and more analytical, understanding the numbers through a funnel, for example. So putting someone on a course that helps them maintain the role that they've got, so that you're not looking to necessarily have to hire someone else in to replace them, is a great way of keeping good people. And then reskilling again, perhaps the business has gone through a change, maybe a department's downsized, maybe you've been acquired, whatever it may be that's created a change within the organisation. Again, good people are hard to find, so how can you find a place within the business for someone? And so you can find them a course that helps them learn the new skills required to do a job within the organisation that they can't at the moment quite do, but allows. So what are the benefits of apprenticeships? The big thing is it's affordable. Government money is great. Everybody wants some, and they're paying thousands of pounds for training. So it costs you from 0 to 5% of a training fee. It's far larger than most or any learning and development budgets that organisations will put together. So it's a great opportunity to make use of that government money. And it allows you to hire people much more competitively. Salaries are just the salary expectations for someone whilst they're having to learn is far lower than someone who's come in with years of experience. And we've all been there. We've hired people that years of experience might count if they've only done the same thing once and they've done it for a few years. It's not fit for purpose at your organisation. This way allows you to tailor that learning, and that moves on to the second point nicely in terms of the learning that the apprentices do is completely tailored for your organisation. The project work that they have to do to deliver their apprenticeship projects are based on what they're doing day to day, so they are implementing what they learn, and so even whilst they're learning, they are very much delivering value to your organisation. From a talent perspective, it improves retention. People can stick whilst they're doing their course. Gives people a reason to stay as they've got an opportunity to go and do this apprenticeship. Is something that you can offer as an employer, and gives them an ability to stay and upskill themselves. And then one of the things we see a lot is people want to improve the diversity and inclusion. How do they do that? How do they advertise their jobs in new places? The fact of an apprenticeship is that it innately attracts different talent. That not having to necessarily have a graduate degree, not necessarily having to have done this particular role for years and years, means that you get a wider talent pool, and inevitably that improves the diversity and inclusion that's within that. So it's a great way to help that if that's something you're focused on. And then the skills, like I said, it really can help bridge that skill gap within the organisation, whether the business has changed, the product's changed, the market's changed, and you need new skills to be able to keep functioning, keep being competitive. It's great. And we also kind of bake in these tools and technologies as part of our training. Generative AI is a great example. We have modules on it specifically, but once people have got to grips with the basics of how you do things from scratch, there's no need for them to be doing that anymore. So we want them to know, kind of fundamentals and the basic principles, but then once they've got a grip on that, how do they be really effective? How do they work very quickly and efficiently for you as an organisation and for themselves and more effective? So that is it. Thank you for listening. If you're interested in learning more about apprenticeships, feel free to drop me an email there or scan the QR code and drop me a note on LinkedIn. Thanks so much.